Hello everyone, it's Charlton. Please subscribe to my channel and tap the notification bell. I'd appreciate it majorly. Alright, so first before I begin, this is all theoretical on my part, 100% theoretical. It's just a theory. It's a theory I happen to like quite a bit. I think it's pretty good theory, pretty sound, but it's still just theory. So, why does Trump say in his Twitter video that he posted yesterday afternoon at 4:37 p.m. that Mitt Romney's a Democrat secret asset, obviously making fun of him and stuff, trolling him, or whatever it's called. Hopefully I'll get to that answer later in my video. The question I have for you is why is Trump and all of his allies, that surround him in the White House or, on Capitol Hill too, Republican allies, and in the press, talk radio, Fox News, why are they protecting somebody that would be the ideal? You don't get any better in terms of a target for this whole Ukrainian conspiracy that they're floating, that they're promoting, that, the Ukrainians were helping the Clinton campaign interfere in the 2016 election. There's one person who would actually is the perfect target for that, but you never heard of him ever. Never during the entire Mueller investigation did you ever hear this guy's name brought up, although he's directly tied to Manafort. He worked with Manafort specifically in Ukraine, and in some ways, it appeared he had violated the same law, one of the same laws that Manafort did, a FARA violation, the Foreign Agency or Foreign Agent Registration Act. I think that's one of the things that Manafort was found guilty of, in addition to tax fraud and evasion, I believe, lying to authorities. I don't want to get off topic. So why are they protecting this person? The person is Hillary Clinton's campaign manager's brother. Her campaign manager is John Podesta, and his brother is Tony Podesta. Okay, so why are they protecting him? He'd be perfect for this whole conspiracy that they keep pointing to. This is one of the articles, that is talked about pretty frequently on talk radio. I believe on Fox News too. The Politico article from VOGEL, Kenneth Vogel and David Stern, in January 11, 2017. Basically, and this lays out an extreme. It's so long. It's massive. I didn't even read it all. I couldn't. It goes on and on and on. But I read a great deal of it. And on and on and on and on. And it's all about, like the title says, how the Ukrainians worked with the Clinton campaign to try to interfere in the 2016 election and help Hillary Clinton defeat Donald Trump. But in this entire document, you never see the name Podesta, Tony Podesta, or John Podesta, who worked directly with Manafort from around 2012 to 2014, and hopefully I'll be able to kind of just quickly go over some of it. If you go over everything, I would be here for 2 weeks. So why are they avoiding this guy? Why does it seem like they're protecting him? Why does it seem like Trump's protecting him? In fact, his Justice Department just announced that they ended the investigation into Tony Podesta and another individual whose name is Vin Weber, all right, who's on the Republican side of this, who also did lobbying work in Ukraine, working with Paul Manafort, an organization, a think tank that Paul Manafort set up to basically disseminate public positive PR for Yanukovych, to the American press and to basically lobby the American government on his behalf, It was all about, it's so complicated, it was all about the Ukraine, stop what the Russians wanted and what Yanukovych wanted, which was stopping the Ukraine from joining the European Union, which did get stopped. This is all about, that, and on the other side of Europe, getting the United Kingdom to leave the European Union, which in my opinion, that is what Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump have to deliver. They have to deliver Brexit in order to basically to make this American oligarchs that had Putin's allies channeled billions to. I don't even know if this is my second attempt. This is why they did it. This is why they set up the 2016 election. This is why, in my opinion, Hillary Clinton lost on purpose, and why they're working together, because they want to be this guy. His name is Firtash, who made billions in Ukraine. He's a Ukrainian oligarch by allying himself with Putin and other individuals inside, Russia. I mean, some people say the Russian mob, whatever. Here it says, according to Russian, and I can't go into his entire history, which I've read some of it, but, I don't even care. I'm just trying to tell you what I think is going on. I don't care about this guy. According to Russian customs documents detailing the trades, Gazprom sold more than 20 billion cubic meters of gas, well below market prices, to Dimitri Firtash. Over the past 4 years, this is from 2014, about 4 times more than Russian government has publicly acknowledged. The price Firtash paid was so low, Reuters calculates, that companies he controlled made more than $3 billion on the arrangement. Then the Russian banks basically lended him something like $11 billion that allowed him to basically buy up other industries inside the Ukraine and just become, a mega billionaire inside of Ukraine. And that, in my opinion, this is basically, I don't think to this extreme. This is the end game for Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, in my opinion. But they got to deliver Brexit in order to do this, which they're voting on today. Okay, I mean, this is why the two campaigns have been so heavily entrenched in the Ukraine, in London, since day one and before. But like I said, the Justice Department just ended, they're not going to investigate these two individuals. Manafort had organized a public relations campaign for a nonprofit called, this is the think tank he set up to disseminate positive PR on behalf of Yanukovych, in the Ukraine, called the European Center for Modern Ukraine, which promoted Ukraine's image in the West from 2012 to 2014. Podesta's Democratic-leaning lobbying firm, Tony Podesta, the Podesta Group, was one of many firms that worked on the campaign, including Weber's firm, the Mercury Public Affairs. Okay, so in this article here, it basically says, it's talking about how the Clinton campaign is working with the Ukrainian authorities to undermine the Trump campaign. And it says the Ukrainian antipathy to Trump's team, in alignment with Clinton's, can be traced back to 2013. That's when the country's president, Viktor Yanukovych, whom Manafort had been advising, abruptly backed out of the European Union Pact linked to anti-corruption reforms. Instead, Yanukovych entered into a multi-billion-dollar bailout agreement with Russia, sparking protests across Ukraine and prompting Yanukovych to leave the country to Russia under Putin's protection. The ensuing crisis, Russian troops moved into the Ukrainian territory of Crimea, and Manafort dropped off the radar. Manafort's work, this is the key part here, Manafort's work for Yanukovych caught the attention of veteran Democratic operative named Alexandra Chalupa, who had worked in the White House Office of Public Liaison during the Clinton administration. Chalupa went on to work as a staffer, then as a consultant for Democratic National Committee. DNC paid her $412,000 from 2004 to 2016, according to Federal Election Commission. Okay, though she also was paid by other clients during that time, blah, blah, blah. And it goes on to basically, it says, what cracks me up, what I'm driving at is that Manafort's work for Yanukovych caught the attention of this person, Chalupa, who you've never heard of before. Okay, but it didn't catch the attention. It didn't catch the attention of Hillary Clinton's campaign manager's brother, Tony Podesta. Okay, and that to me seems to be ridiculous. And what seems to be even more ridiculous to me, that I'm the one telling you about this and not not the Trump people, not Donald Trump, not all of his advocates in the press, who are claiming that the Ukrainians were working with the Clinton campaign to undermine his election. When, like I said, Tony Podesta worked directly for Manafort. Tony Podesta worked directly for Manafort. Manafort hired him and Weber, Vin Weber. And the reason, they're not attacking this person, who's the ideal target to attack for this conspiracy, is because they're together, in my opinion. They're on the same side. They're not on opposite sides. During this exact time period, okay? And that's why now, as part of his work for Yanukovych, Manafort arranged in 2012 for a think tank, the European Center for Modern Ukraine, to hire Mercury and another lobbying firm, the Podesta Group. The think tank was ostensibly independent, but Manafort and his deputy Rick Gates later admitted to Mueller's prosecutors that it was controlled by Yanukovych and his government. Mercury and the Podesta Group registered a lobby for the think tank at the time, but didn't register as foreign agents. There's a different classification. They registered in the classification where you say you're going to just disseminate information on behalf of a foreign entity to reporters in the press, in media, and not necessarily directly lobby the U.S. government on the behalf. I think there's two separate classifications. And they retroactively registered to the classification where they're going to lobby directly to the U.S. government on behalf of a foreign entity, Tony Podesta, the Podesta Group, and Mercury, Vin Weber, after Manafort came under investigation. It's Trump's Justice Department that is not pursuing this investigation, okay? And there's more to it than just that. They did try to prosecute somebody else. It gets so complicated. I'm just saying, why are they not attacking Tony Podesta, who's the ideal target, if they're claiming that the Ukrainians were working with the Clinton campaign to undermine the Trump campaign and Trump's election in 2016? One of the things that they're claiming is that they were disseminating information on Manafort, okay, from this so-called black ledger or whatever of receiving illegal payments, so that he would be fired. And they're claiming it came from Chalupa, but no mention of Podesta. Again, I'm telling my conclusion is that the reason they're not bringing up Podesta is because Podesta, Clinton, and Trump, they're working together because they want to be, this. And they're not going to be exactly that. There's things going on, with what's it called, naphtha gas, even though I do think that's not necessarily the same thing. I think a lot of these transactions would be hidden, would be done in a way where, like, almost like in an Epstein type way, where they would just be, no one would ever know. I don't exactly know, but I feel like Epstein comes into play here on how to hide, where these monies are coming from, where they're going to, who's actually getting the money, and so forth. But there's a whole nother issue of naphtha gas involving the two. It's going to get too complicated. Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman, who incidentally, when they were about to leave the country, and they were arrested in Dulles Airport, they had a one-way ticket with a stopover in Frankfurt, Germany, but the destination was Vienna, Austria, which is where Dimitri Firtash is now basically holed up in Austria, Vienna, Austria, because he's facing extradition to the United States, and he's been on trial. This has been a court battle that's been going on since 2013, 2014, right around now. I think it was reported that Giuliani had a one-way ticket to Vienna for the following day. Whether or not these individuals would ultimately be meeting up with Firtash to discuss whatever, I have no idea. I don't want to get too off topic, but, kind of how I got to all this stuff is when I was looking up Firtash and Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman and seeing if there wasn't a connection to the Clintons in addition to the Trumps. And that's when I found this guy Firtash and, or learned about him. And he's, everybody's reporting on him. and his attorney up until July of this year, of 2019, from 2013, 2014, from that time up until July of 2019, right before the Ukraine call from President Trump to President Zelensky of Ukraine that blew up this whole scandal in Ukraine, his attorney was Lanny Davis, the former, legal counsel to President Clinton, longtime, very close associate of President Clinton, and he's been replaced. Well, now his attorneys, because Lanny Davis is no longer representing him. I assume he has many attorneys, but some other attorneys that are now representing him are on the other side. Are two very loud, vocal, boisterous advocates of Trump that you see pretty regularly on Fox. They're a husband and wife couple. You usually see the husband more often than the wife. It's Joe DeJovana and I think Victoria Tunsing, and they're working for Firtash, and since Lanny Davis has moved on, and apparently that's how Lev Parnas, I believe, was hired as an interpreter, to interpret, because Firtash doesn't speak English, among other things. It says that Firtash and Fruman have other dealings. With Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman have other dealings with. Actually, this isn't even this article. It's another Reuters article. That's why I'm pointing at it like it's. Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman have other dealings with Firtash, in addition to the fact that Lev Parnas is Firtash's interpreter right now. So let me try to keep going. One point I want to make before I move on to, when you see John Solomon, it's John Solomon and this Politico piece that routinely all these people that are trying to defend Trump and defend why Rudy Giuliani over in Ukraine, they cite these sources. But again, same thing. If you look at this, where John Solomon is looking into whether or not the Ukrainians were helping the Clinton campaign dig up dirt on Manafort and sabotage the Trump campaign, you never see the name Podesta. Okay, and incidentally, they actually in this article, and this is where I started to get so suspicious, is because they're talking about meetings that are taking place in January of 2016, which is before Manafort even joined the Trump campaign, which started to make me think, well, how did they know he was even going to join the Trump campaign? And it made me think that they're all in on it together. And then this explanation here kind of is where they insinuate that the Chalupa knew him so well and knew Ukraine so well. Not Podesta, not the brother of the campaign manager of Hillary Clinton, who worked directly with Manafort in Ukraine over Ukraine from 2012 to 2014. Chalupa is the one who knew so much about Manafort that she suspected she knew he was going to join the campaign before anyone else did. But never do you see the name Podesta named in here. Again, since he's the perfect target if you're a Republican and this is what you're claiming. And I don't even know if I said, but Vin Weber, it goes on to say that the Podesta Group collapsed under pressure shortly after Manafort's arrest in 2017. But Mercury and Weber, they appear to have emerged relatively unscathed. Weber continued to lobby for clients, etc., beyond 2017. Okay? But Weber recently, August 30th is the date of this article, actually before most of the whistleblower stuff, I don't think any of it was public at this point, but he resigned from Weber. I assume, knowing that call and this Ukraine scandal was coming. So my question to you is, let's say Podesta is completely innocent, and that's just fine by me. I don't care. I'm just telling you all this stuff, man. I didn't do it. So let's say Podesta is completely innocent, and that's why he's never mentioned in any of these pieces, in any of the Politico piece or any of John Solomon's pieces, as being, I've made the connection. Let's say that that's true. Then why is Vin Weber, resigning from Mercury, days after, weeks after the Ukrainian call was made from President Trump to President Zelensky, on July 25th, 2019? Why is he resigning then? If there's nothing there's nothing, you know, there's nothing there. So, you know, I mean, I think the Southern District of New York, you know, I think they're in the same place I am, you know, and they were hoping. This is another individual, what's his name, Gregory Craig, who, incidentally, like Landy Davis, worked as special counsel to President Clinton, and he was the assistant to President Clinton from 1998 to 1999. Craig's old friends and law partner, Kendall, was Clinton's personal attorney. Craig was brought on specifically to coordinate the White House defense on Clinton during impeachment. Termed the quarterback by Clinton. This is Craig. This is somebody else who was recently acquitted because he was accused of lying that he didn't register as a foreign agent, you know, under the FARA Act. I think something like that, and he was acquitted. But I think that they were hoping to get this guy. Oh, I shouldn't have stopped. Hold on. He was termed the quarterback by Clinton. Craig worked from the West Wing and oversaw legal, political, congressional, and public relation aspects of the defense, reporting regularly to President Clinton and consulting with John Podesta, the White House Chief of Staff. I stopped prematurely, sorry. So I think that the Southern District of New York was hoping to get him to flip, you know, and get him to talk. And, you know, I don't know. He made it through the trial and got acquitted. So that didn't pan out. And so they decided, you know, not to pursue charges with these two because they would have been basically, I think it was a FARA violation. I don't know if they were accused of lying. I don't think they were. But like I said, they retroactively, you know, I mean, it says, you know, that both firms were being investigated for possibly failing to file Foreign Agent Registration Act reports for their work with the ECMU. That's the it's the, what is it again? I forget that damn acronym. Damn. The European Center for Modern Ukraine. That's the think tank that Paul Manafort created on behalf of Yanukovych. Both firms are being investigated for possibly failing to file Foreign Agents Registration Acts for their work with the ECMU and on behalf of Ukraine. According to an October 2017 indictment, the two lobbying firms were paid $2 million from offshore accounts controlled by Manafort for their work on the campaign. In statements to NBC News, Vin Weber's attorney said they had been notified the investigation was over. As we have previously stated, at all times, Mr. Weber acted in good faith and in keeping with legal advice his company received from outside counsel. The dropping of the investigation comes on the heels of the not guilty verdict of the trial of former Obama White House counsel Greg Craig, the dude I was just talking about who also worked in the Clinton administration, as I just indicated. Several people briefed on the Podesta and Weber probe told NBC News they thought that the investigation into the two lobbyists had a better chance of succeeding than the probe into Craig, but that in the end the legal hurdles would have been too high, so the Justice Department didn't pursue it. But that doesn't preclude these persons, okay, that's Trump's Justice Department, who, you know, Trump or anybody on Trump's side of this to be talking about Podesta as it relates to this conspiracy that the Ukrainians were helping the Clinton campaign. Clinton campaign's manager, Podesta, and his brother, Tony Podesta. Never do they mention Tony Podesta in that conspiracy. It's absurd. But the reason that, you know, they're goading Romney over and over, and on talk radio his name comes up, you know, 10 times a segment, or not that much, but a lot. You know, and they're goading Clinton all the time is because they want them to be working on their end to protect the president. Because Vin Weber, you know, who seems to have gotten wrapped up in this, and there's many people wrapped up in this, dude. He's a friend of Romney, as you know. I believe, he's a former congressman from Minnesota. He was Romney's foreign policy advisor during the 2012 Romney's presidential campaign. And so they're basically, you know, they're shaking him down, Romney, saying, you know, you better cool it, or your buddy's gonna go down. Then we're all going to go down. And that's the story there, dude. That's the story there, you know. I did my best. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. We'll see about the Brexit today. It's huge, believe me. And I'll see you in the next video. Later, man.